I'm Jules. Nice to see you. The word of the day today is pizza. Pizza's like my favorite food. Personally, I like veggie pizza. What kind of pizza do you like? If you'd like to know why pizza is the word of the day, watch my next video and then read the description to find out. Hey babes. Today we're playing Seduce Me again. My heart breaks a little bit to say that this will be the last Seduce Me episode. I know I've been playing it a lot lately. I just really like this game and I like the characters. And honestly, the voice acting really gets me into it. I really feel like I'm more attached to the characters because of the voice acting, which is interesting. I just feel like the world is more real, the characters are more real because they have voices. It's not just me making up voices. So that does a lot for me. It makes me feel more immersed. So this will be the last one. I just thought, the last one was supposed to be the last one. I just thought there was more to do with the little episodes. So I wanted to go back into that. So we did My Princess, Erik's episode, and then we did the Harem episode, which is crazy. So I thought today we'd do the beach episode and the holiday episode, because that's nice. Maybe Happily Ever After too, we'll see. So let's do the beach episode. God, there's got to be abs, of course. We're going where? A small vacation away from suburban life never hurt anyone, especially if the destination had warm breezes and cool beaches on every corner. Who will you spend time with? I already know who I'm going to spend time with. My man, Erik. You know my name. It's Jules. Again with Chicago. Chicago is, to me, the greatest city in the world. It isn't crazy crowded and has the sights of New York City and Los Angeles in a wonderful package. The historic buildings and events that are peppered throughout Chicago are to die for. There's only one problem with Chicago. One problem? We don't have a beach. We have a lake. If you're the type that loves to surf, swim, or do anything remotely related to a beach, you would not find that kind of fun here. While you could do all of those things in the lake, it's not suggested. The water's either too cold or too filled with questionable pollution to even dare try. At least you could walk around it and hang out with friends. So when the boy suggested that we go to the beach during dinner cleanup, I was completely dumbfounded. Wait, what? Guys, you mean the lake, right?
No, miss, we mean the beach.
Woo! We haven't gone to the beach in ages. Can we go now?
Which one are we going to?
Guys.
Do we have to? I got shit to do, you know.
You want a vacation too, Sam?
Get out of my head!
Guys. The boys all looked at me as I exploded, catching their attention. Why was it that every time I demanded their attention, I had to yell to get it? Nevertheless, I glared at the boys, not understanding where the idea of a beach trip came from. We were in the suburbs of Chicago, and there was no beach in any of the four corners of Illinois. We have a lake, not a beach. Where's this beach idea coming from? The boy stared at me for a moment before James cleared his throat with an obvious smile behind his fist.
Miss, I'm suggesting a trip out of state to an actual beach.
Wait, what? How would we get there? James adjusted his glasses with a smirk before walking around the dining room table and towards the lobby.
I can have a jet scheduled for us with a non-stop flight. Hawaii has good weather today the last time I checked.
I'd almost forgotten that James was a CEO now, so he had plenty of assets available to him. Still, Hawaii? That was like 9 hours by plane.
We'd sleep on the plane. Duh.
But 9 hours isn't really that bad for flying over the ocean. When the heck would we leave?
It would be best to leave sometime very early. Remember time zones.
I can schedule our flight for 7 a.m. We'd arrive around noon in their time zone.
Excellent. I'll pack some food for us.
Woo! Man, I gotta find my swim trunks.
I'll pack the sunscreen. This will be fun.
Guess we're really doing this, huh? Damn it. Fine, whatever.
Damn it, you have to go to the beach. Darn. I stared at the boys as the boys quickly dispersed to pack and prepare. Were they not going to ask me to come with? As I thought that, Sam peeked his head back into the dining room, glaring at me with a raised eyebrow.
Hey, you gonna pack or what? You're coming too.
What? Me?
No, the other Anderson in the room. Yes, you doofus. Now hurry up. If you don't, we're leaving without you.
I wonder if he calls the MC doofus in his, route. Because that is, super turn off. Sam disappeared beyond the archway, most likely to go off and pack on his own. I let the situation sink in. We were all going to go to Hawaii and relax on a beach. It was a real vacation. I would have been stupid to say no to the chance to get away for a day, especially to Hawaii. I instantly ran to my room and began to pack my swimsuit and essentials, preparing for a long trip there and back. Even if we only stayed for the day or two, it was going to be a fun vacation. When we finished packing, we could barely contain ourselves. We were checking and double-checking our luggage, excited for this impromptu vacation. Matthew kept packing and repacking things, indecisive about what he wanted to bring. As 6 a.m. rolled around, we gathered our things and drove out to a private airport, where James had scheduled a jet to pick us up. By 7, we were on a jet and soaring through the skies towards Hawaii. The excitement of the trip had me sleeping through the flight, hoping to make time go faster. By the time I opened my eyes, I was being ushered into a taxi, and shortly we arrived on the sandy beaches of Honolulu, Hawaii.
Phew. Look at that view.
Look at all these shirtless men. That's what I'm saying, Matthew. Look at that view.
Wow, that looks so beautiful.
It's just the beach.
Don't let anyone hear you say that, Sam.
Wow. I couldn't stop myself from staring at the view of the ocean myself. It was breathtaking, to say the least. The air was fresh, and the view of the endless ocean captivated my senses. It took James clearing his throat for us to break our attention away from the sight and look back to him.
Let's set up a spot for us to relax first before we enjoy ourselves.
With a nod from all of us, we set up a small area on the shoreline facing out towards the water. Our large purple and blue beach blanket became home base as we settled down and took in the fresh breeze. Sam stretched out, letting out a tired yawn. Okay, chill out.
Man, how long do we plan on sticking around? We're not gonna splash and run, are we?
I've already arranged a hotel block for all of us to stay in tonight, so you're completely free to do whatever you like for the day.
What? Really?
Always thinking ahead, aren't you?
That's our older brother for you. Always 3 steps ahead of the rest.
Come on, Sam. Don't be a killjoy.
Don't let him fool you. He's just as excited as we are.
Despite the quick glare in Sam's eyes at Damien, Sam couldn't help but smile and nod.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like, it's been what? Half a year since we had a real vacation?
It's not that long. The boys nodded in agreement. Had it really been that long for them? I had graduated, and the summer caught up to us so quickly that I barely realized how much time passed since the boys came to live with me. As I thought of it, a smile trickled onto my lips, remembering how close we had all become. I was especially close with Erik. Short shorts, Erik. I looked over at Erik, watching him take a deep breath and release a silent sigh of relaxation. He was my second kiss, and he had claimed to all of my kisses thereafter. Remembering how we met painted a smile over my face, recalling his flirty and suave persona. Underneath the mask, however, was a man I truly came to adore. As I stared, Erik caught my gaze and smiled at me lovingly, making my face burn a soft red and causing me to look away in embarrassment. Seeing my embarrassment, Erik walked over and gently lifted my hand in his, kissing over my knuckles.
Princess, accompany me, will you? I'd like to walk with you.
I stared at Erik, feeling my blush intensify at his kiss, before smiling softly and nodding to him. A walk across the beach sounded lovely with Erik. Erik smiled and softly guided my hand under his arm, guiding me to a reef near the water's edge. The sand was warm beneath my feet, and the air brushed over my skin in a loving manner. Even as we teased the ocean's edge by letting our feet walk in the shallow shoreline, the clear water lapping over our toes, I could still feel the tingling heat from the sand beneath the soft brushes of the waves. However, feeling Erik's strong arm made me instinctively cuddle up against him, laying my head on his shoulder. It was so romantic to be on the beach with him. A perfect chick flick moment. Erik, feeling my embrace, chuckled and kissed my head, causing me to look up at him.
So, my princess, how do you like the view of the Pacific?
It's gorgeous. I've never been to Hawaii before, so this is a brand new experience for me. I've never been to Hawaii.
Really? I'm surprised.
What's so surprising? Vacations are expensive, and I've never had the time to really travel with studying and all. Erik nodded in understanding, knowing exactly what I meant. Erik learned of how strict my father was when he asked properly asked for permission to marry me. I was shocked at how well they got along, but since Erik was an incubus, I couldn't be totally surprised with his charisma. However, I became surprised in the moment as Erik turned and wrapped his arms around me, pulling me close to him with a smile. Erik?
You look so lovely in the sun, my island princess.
I stared up at him, completely lost in the cheesiness of his words and the loving glimmer in his eyes. I felt myself lift a leg behind me, popping my foot off of the water below me and leaning close to Erik's body. You're too sweet, Erik.
I only speak the truth.
I smiled and wrapped my arms around Erik's neck, closing my eyes and leaning in for a kiss. I felt Erik step closer to me and lean towards me as well, making my heart flutter in anxiousness of the kiss. We didn't expect what happened next.
Get a room!
Damn. Huh?
Yeah.
All at once, I felt a pair of hands on my side push Erik and me over. I quickly looked over to see Matthew and Sam, hands held out from pushing us with evil grins on their faces, as Erik and I fell into the water beside us. With a splash, Erik and I dropped into the water and quickly shot back up for air, shaking out from the intense temperature shift. Ah, you jerks! Sam and Matthew laughed and high-fived each other before running off towards the other end of the beach. Puffing out my cheeks, I looked back towards Erik to make sure he was okay. Oh, that's a cute picture. Erik stood up from the water and grinned at me, combing his hair back with his hand and drenched from head to toe. I had to admit, it was kind of hot to see him like that, but his smile made one grow on my own lips.
Well, that certainly didn't turn out the way I would have imagined.
As Erik began to laugh, I couldn't help but laugh along. Now that the rush of surprise had washed over us, it was kind of hilarious to know that our romantic moment was comedically ruined. Taking the surprising moment a little further, I dipped my hands in the water and splashed it up towards Erik, landing my water attack perfectly.
Princess?
Gotcha! Haha! A smirk danced over Erik's lips as he wiped his face with his hand before he retaliated, making me release a squeak in surprise and cover myself from the water he shot towards me. Okay, but salt water is awful to get in your face. Wait, is it salt water in Hawaii? I guess I don't know. It is. Right? I should know that. I feel really dumb right now. I couldn't help but laugh a little harder. We had our entire lives to be romantic and cheesy. We were at the beach now, so we could have a little fun war for the moment. My little vacation away from the world would be with Erik and me, laughing in the sun and playing in the ocean together. I wouldn't have had it any other way. Aww, that was cute. Okay, holiday episode. I don't know what I'm looking at right now. Bunch of boy chests? Okay. I get to spend the end of the year with the incubi. I'm so excited. What will happen? You spent your holiday with your family. The New Year's, however, is spent with the incubi. What will happen? Who will you see the New Year with? I know who. My name is Jules. New Year's Eve, a holiday celebrated internationally. It was one of those turns of time that no one on this earth could avoid. It was one thing to spend it alone, hoping for the best and being unsure of the future ahead of you. It was also another thing to spend it at parties, throwing a drink at the past you trudged through and dancing the night away. It was a very different story when the turn of the year and the future beyond also somehow involved demons. The 5 incubi boys who had come into my life managed to stay in my home throughout the year following my final high school quarter and past my graduation. Even as I entered college, they remained supportive and surprisingly eager to stick around. Unfortunately, they were still freshly known to my family and friends, thus why I had to spend my holiday without them. My family had insisted on me returning to their house and spending the holidays before New Year's with them. While bringing the incubi along seemed like a good idea, the boys collectively wanted to spend the holidays together and did not want to intrude on my family this year. After all, my parents still believed that they were the house servants. Bringing even one of them home for the holidays would have been an interesting story. However, I was devoted to spending some holiday time with them for the end of the year. When I was invited to places for New Year's Eve by both friends and family, I decided to stay home with the incubi. A part of me felt majorly excited. Another part of me felt like slapping myself over and over for letting them convince me that waiting for my holiday present was worth it. Still, it was rather hilarious to see them prepare New Year's dinner.
Oh my god! Sam, get out of the kitchen!
Shut up, you little runt. I just want to look.
You're in the way, Sam. Out.
Yeah, fine, sheesh.
We told you not to go in there.
We did, Sam.
I swear to God I will hurt both of you.
I like their winter outfits.
That's no way to start the new year.
Haha! Sam was completely right to feel impatient. James and Matthew had assigned themselves to making the New Year's dinner and pulled out every recipe book in the library just to make sure they had the perfect menu. The aromas that wafted from the kitchen were intoxicating and almost heavenly. I felt my mouth water just from the scent. It didn't help that the kitchen had pretty much become locked territory. Unless you wanted an earful from James and Matthew combined, then it was best that you stayed out of their workspace. More teasing. Great. Whatever they're making smells amazing.
It is. They're almost done, though, so we won't be waiting long.
Well, that's good. They've been working all day on food.
Man, they need to hurry the hell up.
Quit being impatient, Sam.
Sam opened his mouth to fight back, but instantly shut it, most likely thinking the better of it, and grumbled under his breath as he turned to sit at the table. His little sweatshirt. Soon enough, James and Matthew began to carry large plates to the dining room, setting them methodically around the table so everyone had the chance to get what they wanted, regardless of where they sat. I was stunned once more by the sheer amount of food prepared, topped only by the intense aroma that melded almost perfectly in the air. It was like they were trying to take the record of how much food can be placed on the table from when they had arrived. At that thought, I took a moment to realize something. It had almost been a full year since the incubi appeared in my life. I had graduated and was now experiencing my first year of college with the incubi beside me. Now here I was, about to enter a new year with life in them. With them in my life. I couldn't help but let a smile creep onto my face from the thought.
Is everything all right?
Huh? I looked up, not realizing how lost in my thoughts I was, and came face to face with all 5 boys looking at me in concern. Crap. I shook my head and took a moment to recollect myself before smiling once more. Sorry, I was just lost in thought.
Huh? What were you thinking about?
From the look on the boys' faces, all of them were curious to know. Did I want to be the cheesy nostalgic that brought up the past? Yeah. I couldn't help the thoughts from appearing in my head. Might as well enjoy it with the rest of the group. I ran a hand through my hair and chuckled softly. Well, it's been almost a full year since we met, you know? I was just thinking about that. The boys stared at me before looking to each other in the same surprised realization.
Oh crap, that's right. We came here somewhere around April, right?
We did. Has it really been that long?
Damn, it feels like we only came here a short while ago.
Well, we've been here for a little over a year, and we've known you since April, so that's around 8 months.
A little over a year? Okay.
Wow. To think we'd find ourselves in the company of such a wonderful woman within a year of being in the human world. We must be blessed.
Must be. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at Erik's comment, while the others did as well in slight annoyance. Matthew and James continued to set up dinner while I became lost in my thoughts again. The memories of the past slowly flickered in my mind. Our first dinner, the house party, Alex and Diana. It was all surreal to remember, but they were real events in my life. Especially since I had my eyes on Erik. Erik had shown me his true colors, ones that were loving and caring underneath a playful and sexy exterior shade. I was fairly certain I was the only one outside of his brothers who saw such truth. While he was working to create his own suit tailor shop, he always somehow managed to make time and care for me. I was grateful and happy to have him by my side, as I was at his. Erik sat in the seat beside me, watching his brothers work, so I got to have a little moment staring at him without him knowing. The turtleneck and scarf combination was a good look on him. However, Erik turned his gaze to me as if he knew I was staring, chuckling under his breath as I tried to hide holiday the fact. I don't even know what that's trying to say. As I tried to hide the fact that he caught me behind a blush and a turn of my head. Finally, the table was set and we were all seated, ready to dig in.
I gotta admit, you and James did good, Matthew.
Thanks, Sam.
Sam and Matthew not fighting? It's a winter's miracle.
Hey, I'm not a complete asshole to him.
Only sometimes.
Well, it is the turn of the human year, so it's a good way to get the habit of being nice started.
Very true.
Very true. Damien laughed and I couldn't help but do the same. However, one curiosity burned in my mind. I have a question.
Yes? What is it?
What did you do last New Year's Eve? I had remembered them telling me that they had been in the human world for a full 6 months before my grandfather passed away. If that was the case, then this wasn't their first New Year's Eve. The boys took in the question and looked to each other.
Didn't we go to, New York or something?
Nah, we were in another continent by then. Like, Europe or something?
London. We were in London.
I remember that. We had such a fun time walking around and taking in the sights.
We were on the giant Ferris wheel when midnight came. It was amazing to see all of the fireworks from it.
The London Eye, okay.
Yes. The London Eye was closed off for the public, but since we were friends of Harold Anderson, we were allowed access and were lifted to the very top of it. A perfect view of the sky during the celebration.
Why was her grandfather, my grandfather, what connections does he have to the London Eye? That's weird.
Matthew couldn't stop jumping all over the damn place from how excited he was.
Hey, you were excited about it too. All of us were.
Very fair, Matthew. Still, has it really been a year since then? So much has happened since.
The boys seemed to trail off into their own nostalgic memories, mentioning events of their trip around the world thanks to my grandfather. While I was happy for them, a little part of me felt left out. Sure, I didn't know them, but to have experienced the world with them would have been a dream. Maybe we could somewhere in the future. Heck, maybe I'd be able to see the demon world. That doesn't turn out well. However, who knew the future? It was an unknown fabric of time that I had yet to explore, that no one had yet explored. All I knew was that now I was in the incubi's lives, and I was going to see the new year come with them in my life. I looked to my glass, seeing it full of my favorite drink, courtesy of James, while he was setting up dinner. My own reflection greeted me, and I felt myself naturally take hold of it and lift it. Ahem. At last the boy stopped talking and looked over to me in curiosity. As I noted my raised glass, I smiled. May I propose a toast?
Oh? A toast for what, princess?
The future. The boys listened intently as I looked up to my glass in a new hope. The future was a mystery indeed, and while I wasn't part of the incubi's past in the human world, I was more than happy to be part of their future. To a future unknown, but a future I hope to explore with you all. But he dies, and I die. Silence consumed the air as the boys took in what I had said. Did they realize the same thing I noticed? Finally, Erik raised his glass, nodding at my suggestion and smiling lovingly at me.
To the future. What a marvelous toast.
As his brothers nodded and lifted their glasses as well for the toast, Erik gave me a silent wink, knowing that his future would be spent with mostly me. Cheers! At that, we all drank to our toast, a future that was still unknown to me. I couldn't wait to experience it, but I was certain that my future was going to be absolutely grand. My heart couldn't stop pulsing with joy at the thought. I was excited to experience what was to come. We ate dinner and talked about the potential things that could happen in the future. New businesses, possible trips, the works. For the first time, I felt like I was part of the family, as I was listened to and spoke just as much as each incubus. However, as the sudden flare of fireworks flashed outside the windows and the sound wave echoed behind the glass, the boys flinched and looked over in shock.
What the hell?
Fireworks?
But it's not midnight yet.
It's the pre-celebration fireworks.
You have those?
Sort of. The school in this area loves to order a lot of fireworks and likes to set off the extras before New Year's comes around.
What are you waiting for? We're gonna miss the fireworks show.
The boys and I all looked to each other and grinned before heading for the door. Wow. The sky was filled with softly falling snow. Each snowflake and star was illuminated by the bright, colorful lights of the far-off fireworks. I had seen them before, but to see them in an open sky not surrounded by suburban trees was a whole different experience.
Holy crap.
It's all so beautiful.
Absolutely, Damien.
Truly magnificent.
You got that right.
I looked up to Erik, watching him lift my hand up and gently kiss the back of it. I could only gasp in surprise as he smirked slightly against my skin. He was so charming. How was I lucky enough to be his? Erik, aren't you going to watch the fireworks?
Of course, but the fireworks do not hold a candle to how magnificent you are.
I smiled and blushed, both from the embarrassment and the cool air around us. It was a picture-perfect moment, a small breath of life that I would carve into my memories and cherish for the rest of my life. At my smile, Erik tilted his head lightly.
What is it?
I can't wait to see the new year with you. Erik stared for a moment before chuckling and nodding in reply.
And I cannot wait to spend the many New Years with you after that.
Who could argue with that? It was at that moment I knew deep in my heart that I would have my happily ever after somewhere in that unknown future. Let the new year come. I was ready. It makes these all kind of bittersweet because I guess I should have played these in between the second one. I didn't know that they were going to be like actually in between. I thought it was going to be like 1, 2, 3. Let's do happily ever after. We got time. Okay, I know perfect service. I kind of got that spoiled for me. It's like the boys are at like a cat cafe. It's kind of weird. I don't know if I want to see them all dressed up as like cat maids. That's not really my thing. We'll do happily ever after. I was getting married and the world was waiting for me. Oh, my wedding. That's exciting. The church bell chimes and the guest awaits me for one of the most joyous occasions in my life. I'm going to be wed to the man I love. Is this a dream? Yay! The venue was set. The preparations were complete. The day had finally arrived. Was this really happening? I felt elation run through my entire body at the thought. I'd waited for this day for years, and yet my mind still couldn't believe it. I had to keep telling myself, yes, this is happening. You're not dreaming. Sign your wedding document. It's Jules! I'm a bride. I was going to marry Erik. As thoughts of Erik flooded my mind, I could not help but smile. Erik made me feel like a royal in my own right. He was happy to dedicate his life to me, as I was determined to dedicate mine to him. My charming incubus would be my husband at the end of the day. I stood in my waiting room, staring at my reflection in the mirror. I couldn't take my eyes off myself. Was I imagining myself standing here? Did I die in the demon world and was now seeing a dream instead? Oh, does this take place after the second one? Okay. No. There I stood, elegantly wrapped in a beautiful wedding gown. It was the dress of my dreams, with a veil flowing elegantly behind me. I was regal, and I felt joy in every fiber of my being just looking in the mirror. Diana's flower, still as healthy and magnificent as it had been the night I'd received it, adorned my head and sat gracefully in the crook of my ear. I felt my body quiver in anticipation. My soul couldn't make up its mind on how to feel. I was ecstatic, joyful, scared. Every emotion I knew of hit me all at once, and I wasn't sure how to handle myself. I was going to walk down the aisle and see the man of my dreams at the end. All at once, every thought of today began to collide in my head. Everyone was so supportive of me and my marriage that it shook me to my core. Naomi had made us a custom wedding cake, determined to give us the best celebration with her cooking skills. Suzu had organized the reception, and her family, as powerful as they were, ensured the security and safety of all the guests. My mom helped deliver invitations and guided my pre-wedding party, unable to stop herself from crying at the thought of her child being married. My dad even designed and dedicated a line of toys from Anderson Toys in celebration. It was a doll line focused around the theme of marriage and happiness, with me and my husband as the focused figures. I knew he wasn't a man of many kind words, but I knew he poured his heart into it as proof of his joy for me. I even recalled dreams of my grandfather smiling at me, silently giving me his blessing and letting me know how proud he was to see me here. How I wished for him to stand with my family still, despite knowing he watched over me from heaven. I felt myself shake and began to cry. Everyone was so proud of me, I could predict my legs giving out. And they did. Thank God I was alone. I collapsed onto the floor, holding my hand over my mouth as delighted and overwhelmed burbles escaped past my lips. This was happening. I had waited for so long. I couldn't control the rush of emotions pounding through me like a storm. My body was overthrown by my mental chaos, and I had begun to break down. Was I capable of doing this? Was I strong enough? Yes. Yes, I was. Thinking back on it, I was strong enough to push through every obstacle in my path. I fought off a devil, stood my ground against a succubus. I'd even gone to the demon world and escaped its world war to see this day come. We're just going to pretend that happened. My life had moved me forward to this very moment, and I was a mess inside. Please don't wake me up if this is a dream.
It's not a dream, sweetie.
Diana! That voice. I looked up into the mirror and gasped, tears escaping me again as my eyes looked onto a familiar face in the reflection. Diana?
What are you doing on the floor? Pick yourself up. I know you can stand.
I frantically stood, obeying her request as I stared dumbfounded at her image. But aren't you... Diana chuckled, silencing me. She looked powerful and regal in the mirror, bathed in an almost godlike light.
I'm the queen of the demon world, my dear. I have my ways for communicating with you.
Diana... My heart began to squeeze tightly in my chest. How I wished for her to physically be here to see my wedding.
I'll be watching, I promise. I've secretly waited for this day, too.
I watched as Diana lifted her hand and caressed the air in front of her with the back of her hand. To my surprise, I felt a slight breeze brush against my cheek in tandem, wiping it of my tears. Diana smiled and lowered her hand, stepping forward towards me.
May you be happy, and may fortune stand with you forever.
At last, Diana leaned forward and kissed the air softly. I felt a soft, airy pressure on my forehead, causing more tears to run down my cheeks and my heart to squeeze in joy at the action. Slowly, she faded away from the mirror, leaving me to face my reflection. My face was red, and I could hear my heart beating loudly from the emotions rushing through me. I was getting married, and the world was waiting for me. I took in a deep breath and let out a sigh, slowly but surely calming the nerves dancing along my spirit. As a small knock echoed from my door, I could feel my nerves attempt to kick up once again, but I closed my eyes and calmed them down with another breath. I was ready. I was going to obtain my happy end. The hall was full of people. Many I knew and many I didn't. I stood at the doorway leading into the space and stared at the door in front of me, imagining everyone waiting for me. My parents, my friends, the incubi, my husband-to-be. The second the doors opened would be the second my walk towards my future began. I was no longer going to be alone. I would have him standing by me as I would stand by him through anything the universe threw at us. The doors opened at last, and I took in the beautiful sight of the wedding hall at last. Everyone stood and watched as I slowly made my way down the aisle. Music began to fill the air as my march, and gazes followed with each step I made forward. My heart began to pound in my chest. I began to imagine everyone hearing it as loud and powerful as it was. Still, I continued on. I would not stop walking until I reached the end. My gaze, however, locked itself onto my husband-to-be. He stared in awe at my approach, lost in his own thoughts. What was on his mind? Oh. I could see Erik gasp silently. His visible eye brightened and his face turned slightly pink. As I smiled at him, Erik slowly smiled back, letting joy paint his expression despite the blush over his cheek. Stepping up to the end of the aisle, Erik gently extended his hand out to me, and I took it in kind. A few more steps and I finally stood beside him. We were lucky. Kay, the owner of the Pink Lady Cafe and a dear friend, was licensed to officiate the wedding, so she took it on herself to do so without a fee of any kind. According to her, this was something she desperately wanted to do for us as our wedding gift. I was very thankful to have her be part of my next chapter. Kay gestured for everyone behind us to sit down in the pews, clearing her throat slightly and bringing up a microphone to her lips, beginning the ceremony.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here to join these two beautiful souls in matrimony. They have supported and loved each other and have chosen to continue doing so for the rest of their lives.
Standing beside Erik made my heart flutter in joy. I could feel our hearts synchronizing in time, and our breaths slowly matched up in equal excitement. Staring into his eyes, I became lost in my thoughts as I listened.
It is said that love is a story all on its own. Affection gives us the rising action. Our dreams give us our purpose, and we experience a world we've never imagined exploring. The best thing is, we don't have to explore it alone. This moment right now is a chapter of that story, and you have many things left to write together.
I smiled. She was right. This wasn't an ending by any means. This was the beginning of our life together, a life Erik and I would share and write for as long as we lived. As he smiled back, I knew he agreed.
And now my favorite part. We would now like to take this time to exchange the wedding vows.
The wedding vows. Kay gestured to me, ushering me to softly clear my throat and begin. I had so many things to say to this man. I hadn't known where to begin when I first tried to write out my vow. However, after months of hoping and thinking, I finally knew what to say. Erik, you and I have been through so much. You've supported me ever since we met, and our love has broken through every obstacle in our path. I cannot dream of a life without you in it. You make me happy, happier than I could ever dream of being. It was like you were sent to me as a miracle. Erik could only smile and listen, but I could almost hear his heart beat wildly for me at my words, with small bubbles of tears forming at the corner of his eyes. I continued. I want to keep going through life with you as your one and only. You're my best friend, my love, my world. With you, we can reach the skies and sail forever, just you and me. I love you. Kay bit her lip, obviously holding back tears, before nodding at my conclusion and turning to Erik.
And now, your vow. Go ahead.
Erik smiled and held my hands close, letting his gaze melt into my eyes as he spoke at last.
You are my sweet and wonderful one and only. Every day that I get to be with you is a day I will forever cherish and hold close. You know me better than anyone else in this world, and I know that we will thrive together for the rest of our lives.
I slowly began to cry. Erik's words melted into my heart, and I could see the love glowing in his eyes, his smile. I was truly in love.
I promise to love you and cherish you for as long as we live, and to spend the rest of my life giving you the happiness you deserve as your husband.
Just from staring into Erik's eyes, I could tell that our heartbeats and breaths were matched perfectly in time. There was nothing in the universe that could stop us from being happy, and this moment was picture perfect. And then the demon lord comes crashing in through the wall, and a pipe organ? The organ falls on top of Erik, and then everyone screams, and there's chaos everywhere. I freely let myself cry as I smiled. He did the same for me, holding my hands lovingly.
You both just made my job easier with these vows. Ooh, so, let's put on those rings.
Relax. Kay quickly turned back to the table behind her and presented us with my ring first. With glowing pride and slight nervous quivering in his hands, Erik gingerly took the ring and began to slide it up my ring finger.
Please repeat after me. With this ring, I give all of myself to you. I will protect you and be with you no matter what, until time stands still.
As quick as her statements came, images of our adventures and struggles passed through my mind. We had fought a devil, foiled a succubus, and stopped a world war together, and our story was far from over.
With this ring, I give all of myself to you. I will protect you and be with you, no matter what, until time stands still.
As the ring finally crested on my finger, I couldn't help but wiggle it in glee atop Eric's hand, making him chuckle a bit at the feel. The band shimmered on my hand in the churchlight, almost entrancing me.
Excellent! Now, it's your turn.
Kay slowly held out the second ring for me to take. This was my moment. I quickly took the ring in excitement and began to ease it up Eric's finger. With this ring, I give all of myself to you. I will protect you and be with you no matter what, until time stands still. In that moment, when the ring reached its destination, I could feel the world stop around us. Something in the air felt warm and bright. It was like everything had become right in the universe, and I was able to see a future full of opportunity and bliss. I became so lost that I barely acknowledged that the ceremony was finally coming to a close, one that I had been waiting for.
All right, awesome, alrighty then. By the power vested in me in front of your beloved friends and family, it is my honor and privilege to pronounce you two united in perfect matrimony. Let the moon shake tonight.
What does that mean? I've never heard that before. Let the moon shake tonight? What does that mean? At last. Aww, he's so happy. Erik smiled happily at me, a genuine smile of his true self. Seeing it made my heart flutter. He had happily given his entire life to me, and I would hold him close forever.
Now hurry up and kiss already. You know you wanna. We want you to as well.
She did not have to tell me twice. With a thankful grin and a euphoric heart, I took Erik into my arms and kissed him with every ounce of love I could muster. Fireworks went off in my head, and I could feel the world around me close, leaving only Erik and me in a peaceful space all on our own. Our kiss marked the beginning of a new life together, and I was happy that the next chapter would begin on my terms. I had a feeling no more problems would come our way, and even if they somehow did, we would have the power to get over them. If our meeting didn't prove that, then our struggles and victories would. The cameras and cheers would mark our memories in time. The bands we wore would leave their permanence on our skins. And we would fly as high as our love could take us. Truly, this was my... No, it wasn't just mine. This was our happily ever after. The end. Ah, well, that was a perfect ending to this episode, actually. If anyone wants me to keep playing Seduce Me episodes, I will, because there are quite a few that I didn't do. I didn't do any of the other boys. I didn't do the Weird Cat Cafe episode. Just let me know if you'd like me to do them, because I would be happy to. But otherwise, I'm probably not going to do them. I hope you had fun, because I had fun. And please like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. And I will see you later.